Good day, guys. So is Bitcoin breaking its bearish trend? I think is a fair question. So we've got Bitcoin on this chart here, and typically retail does draw these lines and say that it is happening. So we need to discuss that. And as we all know, a line by itself does not make a strategy. So there's a little bit more that needs to be discussed regarding this. And then in addition to this, I also want to be looking at coins like Solana, which is still showing strength, coins like Cardano, are we moving past the invalidation level and so forth. So it's going to be an interesting one for the week. Now, before we start, let's wrap this week off and just get everybody updated too far. So I did go long in the Discord with everybody in the private Discord yesterday on the basis that we were trying to look to see whether 108 is in fact, 107, 800 is in fact support. And at this stage, that setup is slowly but surely moving up nicely. So the next critical area for me is going to be around 109, but I still believe that we're going to go to 11 before we come back down. I want to see this 5-way impulse. So now you're up to date. So I'm in a long leverage wise. I'm looking to add and build a big position. I have not offloaded any long-term spot bags other than the ones that I sold, and I explained to you guys why. For the reason that we are not bearish just yet, and the altcoins are still looking relatively good. So, morning Stanku, Renee, Mr. Altec Codes in the Zodiac. Nice to have you here. So let's quickly start this first stream for September. The important thing is that we need to look at this from a monthly point of view real quick. And as you can see, we've had our first month that ended up being red, our first negative month in ages. Have we lost any gains? No, we have not lost or engulfed any previous months worth of gains, nothing like that. So for me, the feeling is that we are not bearish yet. Okay, so that doesn't change or hasn't changed in that sense. Now this is our monthly, weekly, large time frame investment perspective. Remember, this is Trade for the Living podcast. I do touch both time frames. Okay, so the bigger time frames, I'm still bullish, but it doesn't mean that this blue candle can't have a wick down to 104, 600, and it doesn't mean that we could close maybe a month like this and have another month maybe wick down and close above this, and then have a body there and then push up higher. All of this would still be bullish. We could still have candles that look like that right there, would still be bullish. It's only when we lose 104, that's when we need to worry. Now, lose. Rido, please explain to me, like I am new to this. What does it mean if you say lose 104? It's very simple. When you start opening and closing candles below that level, that's lost. This is just a test and maybe an over-exaggeration of a move. And in the same way that was a test or an over-exaggeration of a move. That was when support was created, because we had two candles open and close above the level, and all of the other stuff is just noise. So it's not as clear cut as it will stay above that line, or that it can't wick down to lower areas. I mean, I've now highly over exaggerated this. A wick to 84K is going to be something crazy, but it does mean that we have to wait for weeklies to close before we can say it's lost. So if we start selling off on a Monday, heaven forbid that happens, we have to sit 7 days to find out where we close, and then we have to wait another 7 days to see if we don't reclaim that level, and if not, then it's lost. So a lot needs to happen for us to be bearish on the HODL side. You've got it. Let me know. Give me a 999 in the chat if you understand what I mean by that 999. I'll give mine just to get the ball rolling. Okay. Now, daily time frame is where things get a little hairy. That's what makes trading a little bit harder, because the daily time frame now, we have fallen out of our range. We were range bound with the daily, but I marked it up as we're nearing the end. So whether that's the 5 or that's the 5, what we were looking for was multiple correction waves, which we've had now. We've had multiple correction waves. So for that matter, or for that reason, I'm starting to think and start hoping that we're bullish. Okay. If there's multiple correction waves like we have at this stage, what does need to happen is demand. Let's take away the RSI real quick. Demand needs to hold. We cannot fall below these blue demand rays that's moving at these angles. So we cannot fall below that area. Also, support needs to hold. Why is that support significant? Well, you don't want price to go make a lower low and the RSI made a lower low, because then there's no hidden bullish divergence. But as long as the RSI is making the lower lows and price is staying above that level, we've got hidden bullish divergence, and that is a continuation of the trend. It's the hardest one to identify, hidden bullish divergence, because obviously it doesn't look bullish. It looks bearish. That's why it's hidden. Okay. So what we have is we've got price not making a lower low on BTC on the daily time frame, but the RSI does make that lower low. So we do have that, and we're very close to an invalidation, which means fall below 1048, hidden bullish divergence gets deleted, shit's going to hit the fan. Okay, so in consensus, if I use the, or in conclusion, sorry guys, if I use the daily time frame analysis of where I would invalidate some more bullish momentum, and I use the weekly analysis, let me just go to the weekly, of where the divergence pivot lives, it means that Bitcoin literally cannot afford to go any lower now, because if it does, our invalidation lives there, then there's going to be a hell of a lot more downside coming our way. So risk at this stage is actually, contrary to everybody's belief, at an all-time low, because it's so close to being invalidated for bullish to turn bearish. It's the cheapest risk you will ever take if you were to act now. Okay? Because you don't have to wait for 30% retrace to find out whether it's going to be bearish. Okay, that's it. So I see there's a couple of 999s there. Thanks, Peter. You probably brought up the comments there at the back. So yeah, let's move on then. I'm going to move on to Bitcoin then on the 4-hour analysis for you guys. So let's quickly then have a look at the trader mindset. So the trader mindset is simple. I'm looking at what retail is looking for. So I'm using the closing price, because that is where we shake hands. I can negotiate and we can, bicker over a price, and we can throw crazy targets at each other on whether I want to buy your Bitcoin for $1 million and you want to sell it to me or you want to buy it from me for $5,000. And those things doesn't necessarily mean that that's the true market agreed upon price. It's at closing candles where the decision gets made. And that is why when we look at these trend lines, this white line moving down, I would consider using the closing price. Okay, it just simplifies things. Now, if we have a look at this and we look at where we're at right now, we are in the beginnings of breaking trend, but wait, there's more. Okay, if we look at the RSI, what we've done now is yet again, it started to turn in the opposite direction. Well, it's not started, it's been doing it since forever. And I always say a strong divergence, when something moves in the opposite direction, is not a reversal until the following things happen. We reclaim critical support levels. So let's just label this as strong bullish divergence. Okay, go to our little image. Say strong bullish divergence. The RSI trends up, price trends down. Okay, when do we take serious? When we take it serious? When the pivots, price at these pivots, start reclaiming critical support. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, when we start reclaiming critical support, so all of these areas was areas where there was support. So I'm just going to mark them with a green line so we can clearly see them. I'll leave that one red, and there we go. Okay, and you treat strong bullish divergence as a what? A bearish signal, because price, if it doesn't reclaim that level, will reject. If it doesn't reclaim that level, will reject. And there we had this quick Jackson Hole pump and dump, but the trend was still there. Once you have that, doesn't reclaim that level, it will reject. And what we've now done is we've now consistently opened and closed candles above a pivot. So this is the first strong bullish divergence that's bullish divergence that's actually strong enough to turn the bearish trend into a bullish trend. Here we had the pivot get created, and then market went to the resistance and rejected. We had the pivot get created, price went to the resistance, then got rejected. Now we've got the same thing. The pivot got created, went to resistance, got above it, got above another resistance levels. Things are turning around. This is really good. Scale this back to the daily then with the hidden bullish divergence. This does sound and look really good for us to see Bitcoin go to 117, even best case scenario or worst case scenario, depending on how you want to phrase that. Now, I do have destination targets for this, because if this is the long, that's the long we took in the Discord, okay? The long we took in the Discord. If this is the case, and I want to try and get that to take profit and to see whether that's going to remain healthy, I use my point and figure chart for that. So I've got the point and figure chart loaded here, and there's a gap living right where we nearly close to where we rejected at 111, and there's another gap at 114,000 dollars of BTC. So the hope is that we're going to start grinding into these areas and remain in a bullish trend. Okay? That's the hope. Typically, when we get to these zones, if we have hidden bearish divergence, just like all the other times, you short that shit, okay? Because the market trend is still not necessarily bullish just because it's above that level. And hidden bearish divergence is what we need to then just be cautious about. Now, what do we have? We've got an RSI already trying to get above that level, okay? And we've got price. I'm going to leave all the drawings on there so you can just keep track of what I'm already below that level. So we do have hidden bearish divergence. But statistically, the area for the retrace is there. If I use my fib tool, okay? Statistically, that's the area between 112 and 111. That is there. There's a lot of lines. I know it might look a little crazy right now, so bear with me. Maybe let's just clean all the brush strokes off the chart. Just give me a sec. I'll remove that for you, so it just opens that up. And what I will do is I'll use this because it's just a cleaner tool. Statistically, the divergence that when it starts in this area is where the real retrace occurs. Statistically, okay? That's where the retrace occurs for continuation. And the 4-hour bearish trend is still bearish until we go make a higher high. So the trader in me, I'm going long here, but I'm looking for an excuse to short this for more. I don't have to pick a side. When I'm investing, I have to pick a side. It has to be bullish because I can only make money if it goes up. I can farm for more shares or coins if it goes down and I'm out of the market, but I can only make money if it goes up. With trading, I can play both sides of the market. I can make money up or down, and I have to utilize that to my benefit. Okay, so that is the simplest idea here. So I'm looking for price to go to around 111, and then I'm going to try and short that stuff. Okay, so as a conclusion, guys, this is not financial advice. This is just me trading for a living, sharing the charts, sharing what I do so that you guys can follow along. And if you want a little bit more, what you can do is you can go and join my private group in the Discord. It's as simple as that. Head over to the links in the video. The link is in the video description. Head over to the Discord and click on the Lifetime Members group, and that's it. Alternatively, if you want to support the content, back the channel that backs your trades, get your PrimeXBT account today. Link is also in the video description. And what that will do is it will give you access to the buddy indicator. Now, the buddy indicator is basically me without being on YouTube. I've coded all my trade strategies into this indicator. And the idea is that it helps suggest what I would be looking for to whoever has the indicator loaded on his screen, as well as give you guys buy and sell signals based on that. Works on many time frames, so you can see as it loads, it generates it. And what it does is it works on closing prices. Okay, so once the setup is there and the candle closes, that's when the lines are there. That's when you enter between the purple lines, you TP on the green, and it doesn't go away. So it's not one of those that will flicker on and off, but it first needs to get locked in. Okay, so mid candle, that probably would have been there and gone away, been there and gone away, you know, the strategy. But once that candle closes, you've got all those candles to act. So it looks forward, not backwards, because a lot of these strategies, it tells you what you should have done and you would have been okay. Okay. And this is a very powerful tool going forward. Okay. Helps you get in on all the right moves at all the right time. Okay. That's it. So that's the one thing. And if you want to claim your buddy, say you've now opened your Prime, you've supported everything, you need to go to the Discord, yet again, the navigation channel, all the links. It's like a website that functions nice and easy. So you don't have to look for it, scroll down. There you get your PrimeXBT. You claim that, we'll give you the indicator and a sneak, and in some cases, sneak peek access to the lifetime members group as well. Come on, how does that not get better than anything else? Okay, if we have a look at this week's important news leading up to our alts, the important thing is yesterday we had a banking holiday, so we were kind of sitting on our hands, waiting for that to play out. CME wise, we don't have any real CME gaps. The trend is just still bearish as it is. So we have to be patient with the market and, you know, and let the thing play out. But the only real big news I would believe that's going to be coming our way is probably going to be at the mid of the week, probably jobs openings. That's just going to, you know, kind of drive the narrative. Is the economy strong? Is the GDP figures that came in way stronger than we wanted? Something to worry about, you know, and so forth. But other than that, crypto-wise, I don't really see anything that's that serious. But in these time zones, expect the market to become choppy because liquidity will sit out while the figures come out, and then you'll get these crazy swings. So just cover that as we go. September is a big month for us because we are looking for the inflation. We're looking for the interest rates to be lowered. This is what everybody is considering as a bullish signal. Now, this means if people are buying now, if this is the bottom, it's in anticipation that the interest rates will be lowered. Okay. And if it doesn't get lowered, people are going to sell. So you're going to have to keep an eye out on this information leading up till the 17th of September, because this is the big bullish Hail Mary narrative that we're currently experiencing. We know this to be true, okay? When the Fed pivots, reduces the interest rates, the stock market and everything rallies. So the pivot, the Fed is the black line, okay? And the S&P 500 stock market is the red line. So when the interest rates gets reduced, the stock markets rally. Interest rate gets reduced, the stock markets, except this one in the example, didn't rally. Interest rates reduced, stock markets rally. And then thereafter, there's a crisis. So this just leads us to the end game of what we're trying to do. We're getting very close to that statistical point when Bitcoin is going to top out. Now, remember the target. I said 125 for me is probably as good as it's going to get. And I actually sold at 121. So I didn't quite get my own. I was greedy. my own BTC target. But this then means that for the alts, it's now their time. And this is the second part of today's stream. So the dominance is trending down. So we want to see a strong or a lateral ranging Bitcoin. And then we want to see the dominance go and make a lower low. So the better chart to probably show that would be this chart. So let's quickly have a look at Bitcoin on the Bitcoin dominance. I'm just going to load this up. So you can see that Bitcoin dominance is trending down quite aggressively. And it's fueled by Ethereum doing probably the best of everything else, really, really doing well at this stage. And this trend needs to now last. But what do we have to fight our opium, our alt season opium? At this stage, you can clearly see that there is a pivot around that range. So if the dominance starts reclaiming 60%, that's going to be the area. You can take all of this away now. That's now in the past. That's then when I'll worry and say, okay, maybe not be in alts. So for now, to buy a Bitcoin bottom would be good, but to buy an altcoin bottom would be better. Okay, and an altcoin bottom like Ethereum. So let's quickly have a look at Ethereum then. So I don't want to do this there. I want to then head over to this chart here. So I'm going to load ETH for you guys, and then we can have a look at that. So this is Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame. What do we have? We didn't quite create strong bullish divergence, but the play was that between this retrace, we ended at 5, so we're looking for 2. There has to be 2 retraceable or identifiable retrace waves, meaning an A, B, C, 1, 2, okay? And that is what's there now. Whether the C then goes below the A and that is, you know, sometimes where it becomes really tricky if you're holding on to a narrative. So I'm not trying to complicate things for myself too much. All I'm saying is we've got a double bottom on ETH. We've got weak bullish divergence on Ethereum, and Ethereum itself is also trying to do what? It's trying to break trend. So let's take away the RSI and let's just do this. Okay, retail will be looking at this. So, well, there's the trend. We tested this, okay? And what we don't want to see is hidden bearish divergence. So all I want to see now for Ethereum to start saying that this is bullish is price making a higher high at 4,500. And I want to see the RSI go above 53 as well. And a bullish RSI means price stays above the 50 level. You can see that. When things are bullish, okay, when things are bullish, look at where the RSI lives. It's there. When things are bearish, look at where the RSI lives. At the bottom half of it. So as long as we live above the top half of it, we're good. Okay. So that is what needs to happen. We need to wait for that to happen. And as is always, risk is at an all-time low for you to find out. Consider using these lows to get in, because if you're right, price will start then creeping up. The RSI will start moving in this area. And if you're wrong, you're close to invalidation, because what you don't want to see is price now go and sweep hidden bullish divergence out of the market. Where's the hidden bullish divergence, you might ask? Let's go daily time frame. Let's open this up. And where do we have low, lower, low, lower, low, low, higher, low, low, no hidden bullish divergence. So maybe, let's scratch that. Let's take everything off the table I've just said. Maybe Bitcoin needs to go test and ETH needs to go make a lower low still. So that maybe changes things a little bit, to be honest with you guys. Okay, so let's be cautious. Let's do it like this and say, well, you have to have risk in the skin in the game. Invalidation 4,200 thereabout. You don't want to see a lower low, because then you need a considerable lower low in order for hidden bullish divergence to occur, and then that will bring us back to that 3,800. So stomach this bit of retrace, but then you want to try and wait for the buy. Okay, so it didn't play out. I was hoping that the story and the RSIs and the divergences were going to line up beautifully. It didn't. Okay, sorry guys. It happens sometimes. Lee, do you look at other coins? I do look at other coins, but mostly in the Discord for the guys that ask there, and so forth and so forth. Possibly wedge patterns forming. Wedge patterns is all those are consolidation patterns. So when you start seeing those wedge patterns, it means the market is truncating, is getting smaller, the ranges are getting tighter, and then typically then you'll see a massive move coming out later on. So wedge patterns are really good. I don't necessarily trade them, but I like to just know that if they're there, and I do see them myself, so I don't necessarily draw them as well. That is setting us up for a big move going forward. Okay, so the hope is just that Ethereum uses this range where we're at right now as a good base to push off. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Yes, everybody buys now on the idea that there will be a future outcome. Yeah, you buy low with where you think low is, on the idea that it's going to go up higher and somebody else is going to want to buy it. Then that's the thing. You are buying because you believe you've got an edge. If you don't have an edge, that's the area not to buy. And the general sentiment at this stage is probably a little bit skeptical at this stage, for the alts. So let's go and have a look at some more of the alts. So if you like to look at Solana, this was the area where I wanted to hold for 240. We've lost that over the weekend. We've traded that back down below that area, and we're staying above our previous high line. Okay, so this is not necessarily bad, but yet again, I will use that as an invalidation, because then we will probably go and visit 180. So if things get bad, Bitcoin does go to 104, obviously these coins are going to go there, no brainer. But where we're at right now, things does look healthy. We are trying to not create hidden bearish divergence around this range. So reclaim 209, turn that into support, because at this stage it's a resistance, and then the doors open for 240. Okay, so are we at an all-time low for risk to reward ratio? Yes, we're sitting in a situation where we cannot afford to make another low, and if we get above 209, the doors open to 240. So it's very cheap to be invalidated. So well, if it does go there, things are getting worse, it's not getting better. I need to reduce. And if it gets above this area, you can dream big and say 240 is going to come your way. Okay. Cardano has been holding at that 80 cents as well since forever. The rule is you can't have 4 fall below 1. So where we're at right now, Cardano does have also a little bit of room for a bit more downside. But the clues are very clear here that it's just like BTC, trying to turn the tide. So you can see the RSI is making higher lows. Okay, so it's giving us strong bullish divergence where price is making lower lows. So the exhaustion is starting to kick in. So as soon as we do make that higher high, Cardano would become exceptionally bullish, and then we will probably be in the start of our first next 5 wave to the upside, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can use that test of support at around 80 again for the continued push to the upside. Okay. I said I'll look at XRP as well. XRP took a significant pounding. This is between the areas of support where I wanted to buy XRP back in the day. So where we're at right now, I think we've done our correction. Okay, we've done our correction. We still need to finalize that last big wave, meaning that. Okay, and if we then look at this wedge or these patterns that are forming, that retail would love to look at right now. There we go. And there, typically around 70% of the distance there is when the breakout occurs. So we're roughly there. So if we start reclaiming 2.8, $2.80, that's going to start moving us really quickly and start accelerating us there. So risk is at an all-time low. It's cheap to find out whether it's going to go higher, because if it falls below that area, the floor is going to be at $2 again. Okay. That's everything. XRP to Valhalla. That would be nice, my friend. Let's see what else we have. I want to look at a few of these smaller coins that we've been keeping an eye out. So ENA, what was the playing? I'm out. Took my profit. I'm out. Okay, so what do we have now? We're below this area. Do we still have potential for lower low? Oh, where is that right now? I'm not sure. We don't really have a very clean, but it is there, hidden bearish divergence. So risk probably lives still at 62 cents. So the plan was that ENA would go to 50 cents, but maybe 60 cents is the floor for this one. So wait for a couple of dailies to just close above 66. And if we start building structure here, this doesn't look like a trap anymore. Then I would use it. For now, it does look like a bull trap, meaning and probably another shakeout there. But ENA does look strong, as opposed to where I was last week saying that it's on its way to 50 cents. Okay, so keep an eye on ENA. Hyperliquid, the buy was 44 and 42, and we're still sitting right there above that area of support. We did make a higher high again, and we're bouncing on 42 again. Okay, don't want to lose this. We start trading below this, it will probably go make a lower. So Hyperliquid does look good at 44. and then it could potentially still push to about 80 and even higher. So there is a double your money kind of thing. Risk is at an all-time low. Okay, it's very cheap. We're at support. Okay, OP optimism, big deal. Then no, not so much anymore. We've reclaimed support, so the bearish trend has now been invalidated, and we have not made a higher high yet. But if we test and stay above 60 cents, OP does look good for push to at least $1.40 there. Okay, so keep an eye on OP or $1.70 there. That's the sweet spot area I believe price is going to move towards. That's our major resistance. Get above it, then the door starts opening for some crazy targets. Celestia was please stay away coin. Okay, and where we're at right now, we're bouncing on support. RSI is trending to the upside again, same as all the others, but it's still very bearish. So I'll stay away from this one just yet as well. Okay, let's see what else is there that I want to talk to you guys about. I think that's that for today. Thanks so much, guys, for taking the time. 30 minutes in. It's the beginning of the week. There's a lot that's going to come. Make sure to follow all the socials. Keep an eye on all the socials. I post the charts, everything in there. Get your ass in the Discord. That's where it's at. Okay. This is this morning's stream. I do more in-depth updates there, as well as private coaching and stuff like that. There, I've got a few questions regarding that. So you're more than welcome to join that today as well. Right. If you ever have a question, you know where to find me, Twitter, Discord, and so forth. Have a lovely day, guys, and chat to you soon. Cheers.